Hello, friends. Welcome back to English Classes Online. My name is Benjamin. Today's video is on answering comprehension questions, especially when a comprehension question requires quoting from the passage. West African Senior School Certificate Examination, English Preparatory Lesson. Having gotten some questions from our viewers on this issue, I've decided to deliver this lesson to give clarification to the question. You know, we decided to use a specific past why question to illustrate this. We are conscious of the fact that answering comprehension questions is a very important aspect of English language exams. And so we do all that we can to assist our viewers to perform well in their English exams. So if you have any questions at any time that is bothering you concerning, English language, then you can ask questions here on this channel. We are devoted to, we are committed, we devote our time to helping our viewers to gain proficiency in the use of language, and we equip our viewers with linguistic tools to enable them perform well in their English exams. If you are new to this channel, kindly subscribe to the channel by clicking on the subscribe button below. You will find a red button tagged subscribe. Click on it and you will be subscribed to our channel. And that implies that you will have access to, free access to all the videos we upload here. You can also click on the bell icon so that whenever a new video goes live on the channel, you will be notified instantly. Let's dive into the lesson right away. Now, this is the comment from one of our viewers. Alassana Ba commented, could you please explain in comprehension when it says, 1, quote the sentence, and 2, support your answer with a brief description of the writer's arguments. Thanks. So if you are watching this video, this lesson is actually in direct response to your request. All right, so let's get into it. In my previous video, I discussed types of comprehension questions, and we listed 5 of them. Number 1, factual questions. 2, inferential questions. 3, grammatical questions. 4, figures of speech questions. And 5, vocabulary questions. Of course, a comprehension question that requires you to quote what a writer has written from the passage could either be classified under inferential question, or we could even classify it separately as, a quotation question, if you like. The bottom line is that there are various types of comprehension questions, and if you want to know these other various types of questions and how to answer them, then you can check in the description section below, and you will find, the video on types of comprehension questions and how to answer them correctly. That video will give you a comprehensive step-by-step explanation and also clear illustration from past why questions concerning how to answer different types of comprehension questions. But let's specifically address this in order to adequately give clarification to this, I have taken a passage from West African Senior School Certificate Examination of June 2004, English Language 1, Theory Question, Section B, which is Comprehension. And we are looking at passage in question number 7. So, like as I've always explained in various videos, lessons on comprehension and summary questions, I always advise my students to read the questions first. Today, we just want to zero in on this question that is about, quoting from the passage. And then we have actually singled out this question, but we will read the passage and then we will be able to, I'll give you explanation on how you can arrive at the correct answer. Now, the question, which is question B, all right? Question B, let me try as much as possible to draw your attention where necessary. All right. So we are looking at question B here, and it reads, the writer argues that escaping abroad is not the ideal solution to Africa's problems. Quote one sentence from the passage that sums up the writer's recommended solution. This is the question that we want to look at. All right. So, having read the question, now the benefit of reading the question first is that having read the question, we are now equipped with the information that the examiner wants. We already know what the examiner wants. So it will really, save us time, our reading time, because in the exam, you need to manage your time well. And another benefit of reading the question first is that once you have read the question, you already know what you are going to look for when you start reading the passage. And then you will be reading with a purpose, and you will be reading with a specific reading technique that I call the scanning methods. When people go for a scan, they are looking for a specific piece of information. So you are not just combing and browsing all over the place, just trying to know what the passage is about. That is really not your purpose. You have to be business-like in your approach to your exam. What the examiner wants is the correct answer to his question, not how you read and how you go all over the place. Nobody really takes note of that. But your ability to identify, extract the piece of information that gives you the answer to the question is really what you need at this point. So we have read the question here, and we already know what the examiner wants. The examiner says the writer argues that escaping abroad is not the ideal solution to Africa's problem. Even having read it, we already know that the passage has to do with, escaping abroad, and, looking at escaping abroad as a solution to Africa's problem. And we already know that the writer is saying that that is not the ideal solution. And then we are already asked to quote one sentence from the passage, all right? Quote one sentence from the passage that sums up, the writer's recommended solution. So we are looking for this piece of information. Once we place our fingers on this particular quotation, then we extract it, and that answers our question, all right? So that is exactly why I recommend that my students read the questions first. All right, having done that, we now come back to the passage, and then let's read it. All right, let's read the passage. Now, look at the instruction here. Read the following passage carefully and answer the questions on it. Of course, you know that the question we looked at is not the only question. You can, revisit this why question of June 2004 and then try on your own to solve the other questions based on the principles we have discussed in previous videos. Just as I told you that, in the previous video, the most recent one, we talked about types of comprehension questions and how to answer them correctly. So I want you to watch that video and then use the techniques discussed, the principles discussed in that video. Use them to answer the other questions in this June 2004 WAEC English comprehension passage and the questions on it. So I want you to do that as your own take-home assignment as you prepare for your upcoming exam. But today we are clarifying, giving clarification to this specific angle of answering comprehension questions, a question that requires you to quote from the passage, and that is what we are trying to do. Now let's now read the passage. It is no longer news that the social and economic problems of African countries continue to worsen. What we experience daily are vicious consequences of unemployment, inadequate health and educational facilities, urban squalor resulting from population bursting at the seams, and most frightening of all, the rate at which crime is rising. Now, this first paragraph is, giving us insights into the problems confronting African countries. Okay, paragraph 2. It is also no longer news that many Africans can now see checking out of their countries for other supposedly better ones abroad as the only solution to the problems. You can see. In this regard, the United States, Britain, Canada, Germany, and Italy are the hot favorites. Most of these Africans are usually so desperate to live that they themselves, okay, let me take it again. Most of these Africans are usually so desperate to live that they fall easy prey to all sorts of passport and visa fraud and often end up smuggling themselves abroad at all costs. In such countries, they have to do all manner of menial jobs, sometimes resorting to criminal activities, and are often cut off completely from families and relations back home. Young girls who have been enticed with assurances of a rosy future often end up in forced prostitution with all its unpleasant consequences. All right, now let's go to the next page. Is checking out the ideal solution to Africa's social and economic problems? Now you can see that what I regard as context clue. If you look at the question once again, you will see that the question is, the writer argues that escaping abroad is not the ideal solution to Africa's problem. We can see that, the writer, this is the writer's argument that it is not the ideal solution. and then we are asked to quote one sentence from the passage that sums up the writer's recommended solution. So in this case, now we have come to a place where we have seen some context clue. All right. Now, escaping abroad is a context clue, and that is what checking out is about. Now, how you can use context clues to, you know, to locate the answer to your question is that you have to look at the keywords in the question. All right. Then we look at escaping abroad, and then we look at ideal solution, and then we look at Africa's problems. Now, these are the keywords that will give us a clue when we come closer to the information that will give us answer to this question. So we arm ourselves with these keywords, and we are looking for a place in the passage where these keywords are used. That will give us the clue that this is where we will find the answer to our problem. All right. Again, when you check the description section below, you will find other videos on answering comprehension questions, and you will find different techniques, how to actually decode the information, how to figure out, how to actually read a passage, the techniques, the strategies, to extract the appropriate pieces of information. You will find these on other videos that are on comprehension questions. All right, so talking about context clue, we have just come to the paragraph where the answer is located, because we can see the exact keywords being used here. So let's read it again. Is checking out the ideal solution to Africa's social and economic problems? You see, this is a rhetorical question posed by the writer, and this shows us that he's now coming closer to this argument that the examiner is talking about. The writer argues that escaping abroad is not the ideal solution to Africa's problem. So since we have seen his rhetorical question bordering on what exactly is the ideal solution to Africa's social and economic problem, and it is this same ideal solution to Africa's problem that his argument is all about. So that is the context clue we are looking for. All right, so now let's read the rest. Of course not. You see his arguments, and again, you can also pick the word argues, because that also gives you a clue to what exactly the examiner will be saying or writing in the passage that will give us a clue. Here he is putting forth some arguments. All right, so we can know that this is exactly the very part of the passage that the examiner is referring to. So let's now continue reading. What is baffling is why Africans cannot see abandoning their countries as a step that holds out no solution at all. So that is a definite argument. And we have seen the writer's line of thought that he believes that checking out or escaping abroad is not the ideal solution. We can see that clearly here. But we are looking for the exact quotation, the statement he made that actually, that actually summarizes or sums up this solution is talking about. Okay, so we continue. All that they achieve, in fact, is the substitution of one set of problems for another. Okay, so we are coming closer. The next paragraph, in fact, comes directly to give us this quotation. And so it reads, what then should we do? You see, what then should we do? So here, this question that he raised, you know, is likely to be followed with the question that he provides. All right. What then should we do? And then he answers the question by himself. We must look inwards for a more realistic solution. Wow, that's exactly what sums up all the other things that he says are examples of how the kind of realistic solution he is talking about. There are instances of this, but what sums up this solution is this singular statement: we must look inwards for a more realistic solution. And then he continues, first, we must develop the will to tackle our problems. All right, so that exactly is what he continues. He now gives details of what he means by looking inwards for a more realistic solution. But what exactly sums up this solution he's talking about is this statement: we must look inwards for a more realistic solution. So now, having identified this quotation, all right, so we now lift it, and that is what we are quoting. Now, to quote something is to really lift it the way it is, and then add quotation marks. And that's what we do here in presenting our answer. The question is question B, so our answer should be answer B. And what we write here is exactly what the writer has put down in the passage. We must look inward for a more realistic solution. Full stop and quotation closing. So that is exactly how to answer this kind of question. Then, of course, if you are asked to give some description, let's look at the second aspect of what Alassana Ba has actually asked. That is, support your answer with a brief description of the writer's argument. Well, if you are asked to support your answer with a brief description of the writer's argument, now all you need to do is to simply put a brief description. That's exactly what you are asked to do. All right, let's erase this so it won't confuse us, these marks. All right, okay, so let's now let's head back to, okay, so here now, if we are to, you know, give a brief description of the writer's argument, then of course we already have what, you know, sums up his argument. So all you need to do is to just take some aspects of, you know, the specific detail that he gave, just extract the main idea. For instance, he says here, we must develop the will to tackle our problems. And he continues to say, where there is a will, it is said there is a way. If we abandon our problems instead of tackling them head on, we will simply be leaving an unpleasant legacy for future generations. Now, again, you can see that the major thing he said here, which sounds that the more realistic solution he's talking about, is that we must develop the will to tackle our problems. That's just the description. All right, so let us go back to that particular aspect of the question. It says, support your answer with a brief description of the writer's argument. I mean, his argument, you know, argument is about the reason, the specific reason or the specific points that you present to back up your argument. Now, his argument here is that we must look inwards for a more realistic solution. All right, instead of resorting to that checking out of our countries and then jetting into other countries. All right, so he is saying that we must look inwards for a more realistic solution. Now, this is his argument. And then if we are asked to look for to give support our answer with a brief description of the writer's argument. The writer's argument is what we have already quoted. He said, quote the sentence. All right. Could you please explain? Okay. He said, quote the sentence. Okay. So let's get back to the question itself. So the writer argues that escaping abroad is not the ideal solution to Africa's problems. Quote one sentence from the passage that sums up the writer's recommended solution. And then we have quoted this. He said we must look inwards for a more realistic solution. Now, let's assume that there is another question, support your answer with a brief description of the writer's argument. Now, if we are to tackle that second aspect of the question, all we need to do is to zero in on this particular, further explanation that the writer gave. After saying we must look inwards for a more realistic solution, he said, first, we must develop the will to tackle our problems. So to describe his argument, we can simply say that, the writer believes that we must look inwards for a more realistic solution by developing the will to tackle our problems. That is a brief description. All right? That is a brief description of his argument. His major argument is that we must look inwards for a more realistic solution. And how do we do it? By developing the will to tackle our problems. So you see that you have now captured this short description in a complex sentence. You have put two sentences together, all right? And you have made these two simple sentences into a complex sentence, all right? And that is just a brief description of, the writer's argument. So this is exactly how to answer questions when you are required, when the question requires quoting from the passage. We have already explained how you quote from the passage using what I call the context clue. All right. So if you have not watched other videos on comprehension, on how to answer comprehension questions, or on types of comprehension questions and how to answer them correctly, I recommend that you look for those videos in the description section and make sure you watch them, because those videos will equip you with the principles, the tricks, the techniques, the secrets of answering comprehension questions correctly in your English exams. Now, I hope you have been able to take away from this lesson the benefits that will help you to answer questions correctly in your English exams whenever and wherever you need to sit for one. If you enjoyed today's video, like the video and share it with your friends and relations. If you have not subscribed to the channel, the time has come for you to hit the subscribe button and make sure you click on the bell icon as well, so that whenever a new video is uploaded on the channel, you will be notified instantly. If you have any questions on any of the topics we have treated, or even any topic in English that we have not treated, you are free to leave your comments in the comment section below. If you have any comments or commendation, or any concerns or any observation, then you can leave them in the comment section. I want to assure you that whenever you make comments on this channel, we take your comments seriously. You can see me devoting a whole video just to answer a question raised by one of our viewers. I've delivered other lessons, prepared other videos which I uploaded on this channel in direct response to various questions and comments from our viewers. That's how responsive and responsible we are on this channel. We value our viewers, and all of you out there are highly esteemed. So our goal is to ensure that we give you value for your attention and your time. And of course, you are the reason why we are here. I want to say a big thank you to all of you who have been part of today's episode. I also want to thank all of you who have given your massive support to this channel. I want you to know that there is a new channel that we created, and that is AB Digital Tech Channel. You can take time also to check out that channel, and you will receive quite a lot of valuable topics that might be of use to you. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. See you at the top.
Many thanks for watching today's video. A big thank you to all of you out there for being part of today's episode. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, kindly subscribe to this channel. Subscribe now as a way of giving us support. For notification about new videos, click on the bell icon. You will find the bell icon. Click on it so that whenever a new video is uploaded, you will be instantly notified. If you have actually enjoyed the video, like and share the video with your friends and relatives. This is very important. If you have any comments, leave your comments below. Any questions, any suggestions, we would gladly receive them and respond promptly and positively to them. See you in the next video. I look forward to always seeing you